Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Love you guys. Love you guys. Welcome to another episode of the Gonzo Radio Sports Desk. What promises to be the final episode, the final podcast being recorded out of the Gonzo Radio headquarters studio. Basically a bedroom studio. You can call it what you want. And we've had a real good time here for the last year and a half with you and me, and the studio's been kicking it and expanding and cranking out shows and cranking out new shows. And I'm happy with the work we've done here, and I'm going to be kind of sad to leave it, this little sweat box that gets really, really hot at like 1 o'clock in the afternoon and stays hot until 8. But that's the Western exposure of the South Florida life. I'm Big Daddy Gonzo, by the way, in case you didn't know. And seated across from me, matriculating on your screen from left to right, I guess it's left to right or north to south, he is Damaz.
Hey, what's going on, everybody?
Resplendent in clashing Dr. Pepper and Pittsburgh Steelers gear.
And a gift from my co-host
Turn
and
it so
friend.
that people can actually see. All they see is the seam. 1976 Pittsburgh Steelers Iron City beer can.
I could do this, it won't spill.
That's because there's no beer in it. There hasn't been beer in it in 40 years.
Very thoughtful gift. Thank you very much. You know, I'm obviously a Steeler fan. Been chasing them since I could walk. So, yeah, this will fit nicely in my case of Steelers stuff. I have been
a thoughtful dude. What do you
You've
want?
seen my room. I have a cave, and it's filled with lots of stuff. So this will fit very nicely in with my other stuff. So thank you very much. It was very nice.
You know, one of the funniest things, because I am relocating, and one of the funniest things about relocating, first of all, I've got a V-neck, and it doesn't look good. It looks like a mush neck.
It's like the commercial, you know, where the guy is like, is it a U-neck or a V-neck?
It's just a neck.
Looks like a K sideways, I think. Yeah.
But one of the funniest things about relocating is you get to go through all your stuff, and I have quite a bit of swag and material to do my own Miami Dolphins man cave, and I got more stuff than you. I got more stuff than anybody. Heaven help the house or the condo or whatever domicile that I picked to be the one where they pull my body out of at the end. Hey, he slipped and died and had a stroke in the shower, and we had to pull him out in pieces. But that place, that dolphin man cave is going to be redonkulous. It's just going to be wallpapered. It's going to be a TV, and then just the walls and the ceilings all wallpapered.
You know what?
With dolphin crap.
I'm going to ask a favor now, I guess.
What?
Maybe I'm overstepping, but, you know, God forbid when that time does come. And if I'm still here, we have choices with all the stuff that you have. You could make me either the curator, and we can open up a little museum if you want, or we can do a garage sale, and I could take the proceeds and donate that to any choice, any charity of your choice.
A mental health charity?
Perhaps.
Something
that'll definitely pertain to where you are at that point in your life. So you've got some things to think about coming up.
The Institute for Miami Dolphin Fans?
I've always loved to be a curator, although I'm not exactly sure how you become one. I just know that you just watch a bunch of old stuff and clean it once in a while and make sure nobody steals it. But I don't think anybody's going to steal dolphin stuff.
You clean up stuff, and then you display it, and then you read up about it and write something nice about it. I'm just checking my text messages, because even though we do tell everybody that we know that we are doing a sports podcast every Sunday at 11 a.m., people decide at 10:55 from 10:55 to 11:15, we still get a half a dozen people that just insist. So watch the damn show, and then maybe you won't be texting us while we're doing this.
Well, I got a few updates
Possibly.
I can throw out there. Like, we got some sports starting
Sports?
soon. Yeah, imagine that.
What is the sports you speak of?
Some have balls, some have sticks, some have goals.
Well, listen,
gloves.
especially one with balls would be our ballsy friends from the PGA. They're doing a pretty good job with their tournaments and everything.
Yeah.
How about that Tony Romo?
Yeah, pretty amazing, huh?
Or Patrick Mahomes.
Yeah.
That's what they in the business. That's what they call a segue. Yeah.
He signed a pretty big contract.
Yeah, his grandchildren aren't going to have to work.
Yeah. $500 million.
That now the initial report is it's a 10-year extension, $450 million.
Yep.
But then after that came out, as the report went further into further detail, They said it could be worth up to $515 million.
$500 million. Yeah.
That's if it goes all the way out to the full 10 years as per the pay structure.
Right.
But from what I've heard and what I've seen, and pretty much I'm pretty much like anybody else. You listen to Adam Schefter, and what Adam Schefter says is pretty much it. The contract is set up to where I believe it's after year 5, they can start to do deferrals. They can start finagling the numbers so that they can keep the talent level high enough. They can afford to pay other players so that he doesn't have to be the $50 million quarterback, and then they only have $65 million to spend on the rest of the team.
But God knows what the salary cap's going to be at that point anyway. It's already increasing as it is now.
And at this juncture, the clear victim of this on the Kansas City Chiefs is going to be defensive tackle Chris Jones. He is the clear victim of this because Chris, who is an elite level defensive tackle, and can you name, besides Aaron Donald, can you name one or two tackles better than him?
He's in the discussion, top 3-4 guys.
Top 3-4 guys.
In the league. Yeah.
Easily. So he's not going to get his money from Kansas City. It's just not going to happen. Because if you go ahead and give him the money that he wants, which is in the neighborhood of $18 to $20 million a year, you're going to give him the money he wants, then you're not going to be able to pay for your wide receivers.
Yeah, there's issues there.
Or your ball boys.
Speaking of receivers, though, Sammy Watkins came out, smart guy.
Right.
And he said, obviously he's up for contract too. And he came out and said, I'm willing to just get paid. I don't care what it is. I got enough money.
It's like $11 million a year.
I'm going to stick around here. This is where I want to be.
Right.
Obviously, he knows. Yeah, he knows who's going to be there alongside him, throwing him the football for the next God knows how long. Clearly past Sammy's career, because Sammy's like 6-7 years in at this point, I think.
Right. But what people tend to lose track of and they lose perspective of is, and some of these players, you see some of these players that supposedly take lesser deals, okay, less or below market value deals, and these players, some of these players as people, they have perspective. Okay, like a guy like Sammy Watkins, who's been in the league, I think this is his seventh year, seventh year coming up. Okay, and he's already had an extension and a new contract. He's had his rookie contract.
Yeah, he's comfortable.
And he's he takes a look at the, let's just speculate, $10 million that he has in the bank, liquid, drawing assets, working off of investments, whatever it is, his money making machine. It's probably about a $10 million nest egg, because he's clearly made over $10 million in his career.
Oh, he's made much more than that.
Right.
So yeah,
but he's got perspective, and even though he may have been able to go to a different team and probably get $13 or $14 million a year, he took an extension with a team that has already proven that they have Super Bowl aspirations every year.
Well, he realizes, I think, too, that they potentially are creating a dynasty in Kansas City. A lot of young players there still.
Yep.
And to be a part of that brand is going to be worth a lot more to him post-retirement than it is going to be to try and chase a few extra $1 million for a few years with a team that may not contend.
Right.
So he obviously is understanding that. I mean, again, moving his family perhaps as well. And I mean, it's not just the few $1 million, at the end of the year, that you're making. It's lifestyle changes.
What do we always say about fantasy players? It's worth over value, production over value.
Yeah.
Something like that. So if you have and the next big name to probably come up is probably going to be Tyreek Hill. And when Tyreek Hill's contract comes up, then they're going to have some decisions to make.
Yeah.
And along with Tyreek is going to have to decide, does he want to take less than market value? Okay. Does he think he can be the same receiver with just any quarterback? Okay. I mean, he's got to make some decisions.
We've talked about it in sports, and football is no different. You are a good percentage of your ability, of your performance, is you're a product of your environment. So, again, we've alluded to, the first pick in the draft being Joe Burrows and how good he could be in potential. I mean, he is in a tough spot, okay? Tough team, really bad, been bad for a long time, in a tough division. If Joe Burrows hadn't got drafted, let's say, to the Chiefs, again, just throwing a team out there, you can clearly just state that his numbers and his performance are going to be better than as it's going to be with the Bengals. Same Joe Burrow, okay? You're not changing Joe Burrow. What you're doing is you're changing the environment around him. So in football, it's a team sport. And if your team is not very good, there's a lot of variables working against you, and your numbers aren't going to look very good. And that's unfortunate for some of these guys. And I think that's why in sports you see a lot of these teams recycle in these lotteries. NBA is a good example of that too.
Oh, yeah.
There's a reason why these teams are in these lotteries year after year, because they're stuck in this kind of quicksand environment where, yeah, you're getting great talented players, but if you don't have the pieces around you in your franchise, in your organization to build a solid, balanced team, it doesn't matter how good your top one or two guys are, because you're not going to perform. That's just how it works.
It's sort of like an anatomical metaphor, okay? When you're dead from the neck up, okay, when your organization, your front office is a dead zone of dingbats, okay, even if you have all-stars, every one of your limbs are all stars. Okay, they're not going to go anywhere.
Yeah,
nothing's going to go anywhere.
It's tough.
You're going to have 4 or 5 guys that are just out to get their stats. You're going to have discourse. You're going to have a 500. You're going to have a 500 team, a 50-50 winning team, with 3 or 4 superstars on it, and people are going to scratch their head.
Well, look at the Browns last year. All that talent on paper. Odell and Jarvis and
Freddie Kitchens was a joke.
Again, but that's another reason why. That's a whole part of that system where
right.
Coaching is important in all sports, and football is no different.
That's why I firmly think that Stefanski's going to bring. I think Stefanski's really going to bring some excellence to them, and like we discussed before the show, when we were talking about Baker Mayfield.
Oh, I've got some Mayfield stuff.
I know you do, yeah. And that's once again, this is what they call segue. With Baker Mayfield, there's no doubting the kid's got talent, and the kid's smart, and he's got superstar potential, especially after what we saw in his rookie season. And we even saw flashes of it last year, even though it was chaotic. Because they both the Browns and the Dolphins had the same situation. They had offensive coordinators that were just shoveling plays at their players. They were like, why are we using this shit? Because the players are like, they know situations, down and distance. And so you're expecting this, and this, and they send in, you want me to what? What? Okay, run the play.
Yeah, total dysfunction.
Total dysfunction. When you have the head coach and the offensive coordinator yelling 2 different plays at you, which happened a lot last year in Cleveland, okay, it doesn't matter that you have Jarvis Landry and Odell Beckham Jr. and Nick Chubb and David
a decent
Njoku.
offensive line.
And they had an offense that should have racked up insane numbers on top of Nick Chubb racking up insane numbers. That should have been a playoff team, but once again, you're dead from the neck up. It doesn't matter what the body does.
Yeah, we kind of called that out a little bit on the show leading into last year, saying how I thought specifically that the Browns were going to struggle, and that, again, like we said, talent doesn't always equate to results.
No.
It's got to be everybody going in the same direction. Here are some numbers for Baker to this
versus
point.
His backup.
Versus Case Keenum in his career so far, okay? Now, I'm just going to throw the stats out, and you can go ahead and pick the player, okay? Now, again, we're comparing Baker and Case Keenum. Okay, one quarterback is 12-17. The other quarterback is 18-20. Okay, now which quarterback do you think is 12-17 and which is 18-20?
Well, that's the Mayfield's got to be the 12-17.
Yeah, and he is. He's 12-17. Right. Now, completion percentage. Baker Mayfield so far 61.5%. Case is at 65%. Okay, touchdowns to interception ratio. That's a pretty good indicator. Okay,
right.
49-35 for Baker. Case is at 51-27. Okay, significant difference. And then passer rating 86 almost for Baker, and Case is just below 90. So Baker's got some work to do, and he's got. I mean, again, you can argue different reasons why. There was a lack of performance. There was a disconnect with the coaches. There was all these other things. I look at it as just Baker Mayfield. I mean, he was coming out of college. He was touted as going to be one of the top quarterbacks in the league. Here's what I don't see. I don't see a guy that's very accurate. I don't see a guy that's very athletic. And I don't see a guy that is very smart in terms of, let's say, reading defenses, making the right decisions all the time. Now, his teammates like him. He's a good leader. Okay, those aren't the issues that he's having.
Good rah-rah guy.
And again, if the other performance sorts of attributes increase and improve, then you would expect him to take a step forward, considering new coaching now.
Right.
And he still has that same elite talent running the ball and guys that can catch the football.
Right.
So you would expect that if there's a guy that can take the step forward in this and improve on those numbers, it's going to be Baker. Okay?
Right. Oh, yeah.
We'll see, because, again, to the point so far this year, his backup has got significantly better numbers so far to this point than Baker does.
Here's a big thing for you, okay? Even though he's been brash at times and a little bit, act a little bit like an asshole during his career, both in college and in the pros, Baker Mayfield, I like, first of all, I like Chris Mortensen. Okay, Morty is a great analyst, and he comes up with the background stories. He comes up with the behind-the-scenes stuff. And he said the big difference between Baker Mayfield being coached by Greg Williams, at the interim head coach for Cleveland, his rookie season, the big difference between Greg Williams and Freddie Kitchens is Freddie Kitchens babied him. Or is it Kevin Kitchens? Kevin Kitchens? Freddie Kitchens?
Freddie Kitchens. Yeah.
It's Freddie.
I think Kevin Kitchens is a sci-fi actor.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. Freddie Kitchens.
It's good, though.
Babied him. Okay. Babied him, treated him with kid gloves, acted like his buddy, his pal. Okay. A little ball busting between them, but they were buddies and pals. And it got to the point where Baker turned to Kitchens and said, "Why don't you just coach me hard?" He asked the guy, "Coach me hard." Okay? Because we all know Greg Williams. Greg Williams will coach you hard. He'll F-bomb you to death.
He'll put his foot in your ass.
He doesn't care who you are. If you are a 6'6", 320-pound defensive tackle, he will grab your jersey and he will bring you down to his face and he will scream through your face mask at you and call you names and question your intelligence. Okay? He will coach you hard. He has high expectations. He holds you accountable. Okay? Kitchens wouldn't call Mayfield out if Mayfield screwed up. I mean, there was a couple of games that he completely lost, but from late interceptions, okay, or late incompletions. And Mayfield wants to be coached hard. And he's a guy that needs to be coached hard. Lincoln Riley coached him hard.
Yeah, I mean, there are different coaching styles in all the sports, different sports, and certainly you can see certain players respond differently.
Well, that's why Kevin Stefanski
to certain things. But again, if you're a guy that needs a particular style of coaching to either motivate you or to get your maximum, you're the leader of the franchise. You're the quarterback. You need to take it upon yourself.
But you're still a player that needs to be coached.
Listen, all players need to be coaches. Everybody has their role and their job, but
Belichick and Brady.
I would imagine that, but Brady doesn't need to be coached. Brady is a self-motivator.
But Brady got chewed out just as much as anybody else, sometimes even more, because you have to show that he's not special.
Well, Belichick didn't treat anybody differently from anybody else, from the kicker to the water boy, probably all the way up to Brady. That's why Brady's gone now, too. But what I'm saying is that...
loved that? Randy Moss loved that.
But again, because he wasn't used to it. And again, I know you can go back to, especially hindsight, and find out where guys excelled, where they may have, fallen behind, needed certain things. I just watched the Dennis Rodman show yesterday, and how important Chuck Daly was to him in his career, because he was a father figure, and he was authoritarian, and he disciplined. You got the best out of Rodman at that time. So I'm not arguing the fact that, yes, certain guys do need a kick in the ass. But I don't want my starting quarterback, the guy that's leading my franchise, to need things in order to perform. He should be at a position in his life now, especially since he's had success in college, great success, and greater expectations in the NFL, where he should have, at this point, figured it out as to what else he needs to do to self-motivate him to perform at a level that's acceptable. And in the first 2 years, he's been subpar. So, again, I don't know what other ways are going to get him. Again, I'm not hating on him, and I'm not saying he's not going to be successful. I think the Browns have a good year this year. There's no reason why they shouldn't. But the onus is going to be on Baker Mayfield this year. His numbers have to improve.
Without a doubt. They even went and I wouldn't say so much that they physically upgraded the tight end position with Austin Hooper. I think that what they did as far as upgrading is concerned, listen, David Njoku, other than his injury problems that he's had in the 3 years that he's been in the league, when the kid plays, he's all world. He is an absolute terror.
Yep.
6'5", 245 pounds, can run a 4.5 40, has got a catch radius out the gym. Okay, you ever seen pictures of the kid playing basketball?
Yeah, he's another one of these physical
freak,
specimen guys.
But
yeah.
he has these ticky-tack injuries.
Yeah.
He has, he gets nicked up here, nicked up there.
But they have enough talent on that team, though, offensively, where
right.
they can absorb some of those things.
I think Austin Hooper is a systemic upgrade. He's a systemic upgrade as per consistency, and I don't know if you guys can.
Are we going to have any Green Army men coming through that? It sounds like they're marching outside right now.
Sounds like the weather is trying to come in.
Yes,
the wind shifted
very strong. I can't see it, but I can definitely hear it.
You can hear it.
Yeah.
I'm wondering if you guys can hear it too.
Yeah.
And that's weather.
Hey,
that's
back at 6.
Let's remember the news is an acronym for noteworthy events, weather, and sports. That's what NEWS. It was like, what's news stand for? And it's like news is an acronym.
I had my own.
Didn't understand that.
I'll share it with you after the show.
Okay. So what they have is they have a recipe for being the team that everybody thought they were going to be last year. And I think that their defense has a little potential to be special, especially if they can keep Garrett on the field. Because they've got, 3 first-rounders in the secondary?
Yeah.
And they've all progressed year by year, and they're all special DBs. So once you get a situation where you have 3 first-rounders that are coming into their potential all at around the same time, there's a perfect storm brewing. I mean, yes, you got to get through Baltimore. Yes, you got to get through Pittsburgh. Yes, you've even got to play Cincinnati twice.
Yeah, really.
But
listen, on paper, they're talented. They on both sides of the ball.
I think Stefanski is the guy to bring them together.
Coaching change this year should make a difference. It's going to be interesting to see, but it's on Baker's shoulders.
Right,
he leads the offense.
Fun fact: the last time Case Keenum, by the way, the backup, was successful and won, I believe, 2 playoff games with the Minnesota Vikings.
I think he lost that second game.
Oh, he lost the second game?
Yeah, he lost the second game.
I thought he won a wild card in a quarterfinal. Oh, yeah. Anyway. That Kevin Stefanski was the offensive coordinator.
Well, that's why he's there. There's some familiarity there.
Baker's getting pushed.
Yeah.
And that's one thing that Morty said is that Baker is feeling the push now. He never really had anybody behind him that was just all up in there like, well, what's going on? Yeah, can you handle that? If you can't handle that, I can handle it. It's okay. I'm good. I've played this game before.
It's pretty nice to have that comfortable backup now, especially now with all the COVID stuff.
It's not even a comfortable backup now. It's a guy who you slip, you can't get it done. You don't understand the playbook. You don't understand the reads. You don't understand the checkdowns, the progressions, and all of that. You don't understand that. Case Keenum can recite that playbook in his sleep.
I think Case is like a poor man's Kirk Cousins. And again,
David Craig.
But again, this isn't a knock on Case Keenum because, again, he could probably start for a few teams in the league.
A few.
So, again, outside of teams that have drafted quarterbacks and looking towards the future and building a franchise guy, I mean, again, Case may not be that guy. But in today's NFL landscape where it's so uncertain week to week now, especially with COVID, you need guys that can just step in at any point, and especially at the quarterback position, that can run your team. And again, it's going to happen. There's going to be injuries aside. There's going to be guys that get sick this year that aren't going to play for a week or two. And you're going to really see the balance and depth of those teams when they're in those situations and see how they perform. Because you're not going to be able to predict when that happens. You just got to be ready. And fortunate for them, they've got a guy, like you said, familiarity with the coach and the play calling, I'm sure, the playbook and such, and a guy that's proven. So, again, Cleveland, I think, is a playoff contender this year, but Baker's going to have to improve on a lot of areas of his game. It's going to be interesting to see if he can do that, so we'll see. We briefly alluded to Patrick's $500 billion contract, but I know, but it's billion trillion. What the hell's the difference? It's interesting to see now right away. The immediate comparison that I heard thrown out was, well, Lamar's up next.
Yeah, well.
All right. Here's my argument for that. Patrick Mahomes got a huge contract, the biggest contract in sports history. And people like to argue, the athletes make too much money, whatever. Okay, that's not what this discussion is going to be about. He's worth it in the landscape and in the dynamics of the business world of the NFL now. Yeah. He's the face of the franchise. He's the face of the league.
The face of the place.
He's a guy that is going to be there, barring any setbacks, for a long time.
And he's a pretty good golfer, too.
He's a good dude. Again, he checks off all those boxes. And
he talks funny.
And he talks a little funny. He's got weird hair. And he's friends with Aaron Rodgers, which I don't get, which we'll get to later.
There it is.
It's coming.
Well,
it's my job that
bit of Salt Bay.
Any chance I get, I'm going to any chance I get, it's going to Aaron. Okay. All right. Now, Lamar Jackson, what he did last year, amazing. The Ravens are a phenomenal football team. But there are some clear differences between Patrick Mahomes and Lamar Jackson, okay? Lamar Jackson and the Baltimore Ravens, in my opinion, are a football team that's built to play with the lead. I mean, they got the lead on you, that's foot on the throat, it's over. I mean, you're just not going to come back.
Solid and aggressive defense.
Lamar makes one or two big plays with his legs. He throws the ball when he needs to.
They're up 10 points.
In those spots, and they're up 10 in the fourth quarter, it's a wrap, okay? You're not going to come back on the Ravens.
Right.
But again, what happens if they're down by 10 in the fourth quarter? Now it's a little different scenario, different play calling, different requirements on Lamar. Patrick Mahomes, first of all, in 34 of the 36 starts that he's had, okay, they've had the lead in the fourth quarter in 34, 36 of those starts. They've never lost a football game by more than 7 points when he started a game, okay? Mm-hmm. That's incredible numbers. When you looked at, and again, Lamar Jackson's never won a playoff game. So as good as Lamar Jackson is, as talented, as dynamic as he is, I'm not going to say he's a system quarterback because he's not. He's too good of an athlete. He's too good of a quarterback. But when you start to introduce variables that happen week to week or through a season, injuries, attrition, whatever, right, you can start to see chinks in the armor a little bit. On the Patrick side, in those two playoff games, he was down by 2 scores in both of those games, and at no point did you think that Kansas City was going to win that football game. Okay, the kid makes throws all over the field. He also does it with his feet when he has to. He's smart. He's a leader. He's headsy. He's talented. To me, he's worth every dollar of that contract. Lamar, he's the $30+ million guy when it comes his time. No question. He could be there for the next 10, 11 years, too. He's a young quarterback. He's going to get better.
He deserves more than Dak Prescott does.
Yeah, that's another argument. But he's not Patrick Mahomes. Okay, so let's hold the brakes on looking at a guy after a year or two and thinking that based upon a year's worth of numbers on a team with really pretty much everything kind of ducks in a row, that he's your second best quarterback in the league. Because in my opinion, ranking quarterbacks overall, in terms of guys that I would have in my franchise, even though I don't like Aaron Rodgers, I would still rather have Aaron Rodgers on my team than Lamar Jackson.
Well, it's a matter of experience.
And be able to throw the football any spot in the field. Aaron's got still at least 3 or 4 dominant years left, at least that. And Lamar Jackson hasn't really cracked his potential yet. So he's going to need to improve in terms of all aspects of his game. But in terms of quarterback elites, numbers-wise, certainly Lamar's there. I mean, what he did last year running the football was incredible. And throwing the football and the touchdown-to-interception ratio, everything that we judge a quarterback's performance by, he's tops. But overall, in terms of guys that when you need to win games, and it all comes down to winning games, playoff games, and eventually Super Bowl, if all the ducks aren't in a row for the Ravens, it's going to be difficult for him down 14 in the fourth quarter to come back against a team at that point who could be either maybe, say, the Chiefs or any of the other elite teams that are in football. So let's pump the brakes just a little bit in terms of wanting to pay him max money as well. So,
well, it's always fun to speculate. It's always fun to, And right now, with so little sports, even with the run-ups and the training camps and the practices, with so little to report, of course, the sporting press is going to speculate, over-speculate, and going to keep fishing for stories to keep your attention. And as we've seen, with the exception of a few market-setting deals a la Patrick Mahomes has set the market, but that's the cap of the market. That's the highest high end of the market. It's so far past the high end, it boggles the mind.
Yeah.
Okay? Which we have already heard multiple reports that the contract as an extension, you can add certain stipulations and extensions that you can't do with a regular contract. So there's provisions, I believe it's after the 5th season or the 6th season, which would be 2027. Yeah, 2027. That will give them flexibility to defer money, to move money around so that they can continue to bring in talent or continue to pay talent that they develop.
We got to remember, too, Andy Reid is in his 60s as well. And even though I'm sure his intentions are to be there for the next however many years the contract is that they play it out, realistically, he's had a little bit of health concerns at time for time. And, I mean, he's
fat like me.
Even if he doesn't assume the head coaching position, let's say after year 5, year 6, year 7, that's the kind of guy who you're just going to keep in the building anyway. He's still going to be a voice on that team until you put him in the grave.
Sure.
Because everybody likes Andy Reid. I mean, he's that guy.
He brought a championship to Kansas City.
Yeah, he's that guy. But he was good everywhere too. He was good in Philly. He's in my opinion, and I'm glad he got the title because that was the monkey off the back in people's opinions of if he's an elite coach or not.
Oh.
He was already an elite coach prior to winning last year.
That McNabb-Owens team was so good.
Yeah. So, I mean, 5 years from now, 6 years from now, when they reassess the numbers, wherever the salary cap may or may not be at that point, certainly there'll be some flexibility in that contract for him. But God knows what the rest of the guys will be. I mean, we mentioned a guy like Tua. I've been high on him since he was obviously coming out. We knew he was coming out. But this is another guy that what's going to be 5 years from now? What the hell is he going to make if he has, great seasons, year 1, year 2, comes out, and he's ready for his next contract after? And what the hell is he going to be, $100 million a year at that point? I mean, it's insane.
He's also a guy who a lot of people don't want to go so far as to compare him as a talent in the same light as Patrick Mahomes. And I will say this, there are similarities in as much as they are very accurate throwing on the run. But Patrick Mahomes throws no-look passes like nobody's ever seen.
With the other hand,
and sometimes he throws left-handed passes.
That's incredible, yeah.
But Tua's already starting off left-handed.
Well, he's got an advantage then. Yeah, he just has to switch sides.
You are looking at a quarterback that has a comparable talent base, but it's going to take nurturing like you get under a quarterback guru like Andy Reid, under what we are now finding out to be an offensive genius and quarterback guru in Eric Bieniemy. I think that Bieniemy is the next guy in line. That's the reason why he hasn't. That guy has been an excellent coach for a long time.
And a young coach. He's going to be around for a long time.
A long time.
Yeah, the league needs guys like that. So, yeah, they got lucky there.
Well, the same way that you see McDaniel in New England just waiting his turn, okay, instead of taking job offers, instead of going and running to Indianapolis.
He's got to improve his people skills a little bit.
He's a little creep.
A little bit, but yeah, it's. You nailed it with Eric Bieniemy in terms of
Bieniemy is the next guy in line.
Yeah,
he's not going anywhere. You guys can talk. NFL reporters, you can talk about how he got an offer from this team, he got an offer from that team. Guess what?
Yeah.
He's just if he takes interviews, he's just doing it to be polite because his job is sealed in what is now a championship elite organization.
Yeah.
So he's not going anywhere. That is the next coach after Andy Reid is going to be Eric Bieniemy. And that is just it. Period.
Agree.
So lock it, close it. Next subject. Which would have to be, let's see, what were my promo bylines? Oh, NBA Major League Baseball.
Got some of them starting too.
Whole bunch.
Yeah.
A whole bunch. Everybody's at Disney World.
Here's the thing with the NBA, which I read.
Reopened Disney World.
Well, here's the thing I read about Disney World this morning for the players now. Now, obviously, the NBA, they're in their bubble. Okay, right. That's what they're calling it, their bubble. Right. Players have already gotten there. They're already in seclusion. They're already kind of doing their things and cleaning the rooms. Specific. Their protocols are in place, but they will be able to go to Disney World just after hours. So they're going to open the theme parks and the bowling alleys and the other attributes associated with Funland.
Ain't nobody bowling. Bowling is the nastiest of all these.
Listen, Chris
sports.
Paul is a pretty good bowler.
He's got his own ball. But.
So, but anyway, yeah. So they're going to allow the players to have a little fun, kind of free their minds a little bit. Instead of going to the clubs after work, they're going to go on Space Mountain. So that's kind of nice. I mean, at least they'll be able to have. Sure. Now, you think they'll have to speed pass them, or you think they'll kind of just get right to the front of the line?
No,
or to be based on win percentage. Like, well,
here's what no. You losers got to go to the back of the line.
Yeah, they're like Memphis. You guys, small world.
You're 25 and 40. Yeah. You wait.
It's crazy.
LeBron's on his way.
Yeah.
No, but can you imagine the Lopez? First of all, the Lopez brothers are huge Disney fans. Okay, they go to Disneyland, Disney World. There was Instagram pictures of them in Disney Paris. In Disney China, they go to all the Disney parks. They love Disney. There are a couple of Disney files. So you know that if there is access to those rides at that park, the Lopez brothers are first in line. First in line.
When I go to these theme parks, this is all the theme parks. You get on those rides. With my size, and I'm 6'4", 230, I struggle in terms of fitting in those little cars, getting those overhead restraints. Yeah, these guys are ginormous. How the hell are they getting on Space Mountain without taking up two cars?
Yeah, because I'm 6'5" and a couple of sandwiches over 280 or 380. 380. Haven't been over 280 since high school. But the shoulder harness things are tough. Even if it doesn't stop at my shoulders, if it gets down to here, it gets down to my belly, and that gets to me. But being 6'5", the shoulder harness comes down and it stops here. It's like, oh, you're too fat. I'm like, no, because if I was too fat, that would mean I couldn't lock it here. It hits my shoulders. It's like I can't scrunch any further. I've already got the little horn thingy up my culo over here.
Oh, that's comfortable too.
I'm getting a prostate exam from the damn thing as it is.
Yeah, 3 rides on Space Mountain, you start to chafe.
So it's like pass. Yeah. I don't even go on rides with shoulder harnesses.
So how are these guys in the NBA? 6'10", 6'11", 7'1"?
They're not doing it. They're not doing it. There's no way it's happening. Okay. There's no way they're going on those.
Well, it's definitely not a small world.
So. but you bet they'll go.
Yeah.
You bet they'll go. You know why? Because you have to walk halfway across the park to get to a small world, and it's July, and it's 95
Even
degrees.
At nighttime when they're going to be there.
It's going to be hot.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
So, but hey, you know what? The players are making a little bit of a sacrifice in quarantining themselves. Even though, have you seen some of the videos and some of the pictures of some of the stuff that they have?
Yes.
They got stuff. How can I get some of that quarantine stuff?
Yeah, it's not so bad. It's not so bad.
How can I get a 4-star hotel room with food made and brought up to my room service for 3 meals, sometimes 4. All you can do is call for food.
You just have to pick up the phone.
Go, hey, that stuff we had for lunch, can I get another one of those?
Yeah.
Yes, sir, no problem. I have it up there in 10 minutes. And then somebody knocks on the door, you come out, oh, look, it's right there.
They're in a hazmat suit, but they're like,
right.
There you go.
But along with that, they have a game room that has multiple pool tables and ping pong tables, a video game parlor or a theater. They have a movie room, a TV room. You have your own, of course, flat screen TV in your room. I mean,
they got stuff.
They got stuff.
Yeah, they got stuff. But again,
I would love to have some of that stuff.
It's going to be difficult
to. They don't get to see their families.
There's drawbacks.
I understand that.
Yeah, which some of them may not mind, but yeah, it's still
young fellas.
And which is exactly what I was going to say. They're young fellas. A lot of these guys are not too far removed from college. A lot of these guys they're traveling and they're in these bubbles really anyway when they're going from city to city.
Right.
So, I mean, yes, they'll be in one place, okay, but in terms of the isolation, in terms of maybe the limited amount of exposure, their lifestyles really, I don't think are going to change all that much. And it's going to be such a sprint to the finish, these games. They're playing 8 games a day. So, I mean, starting at noon, I mean, the schedules are going to be outrageous. So there's going to be less time off. There's going to be a lot more time focused on actually playing basketball. And again, from a player's perspective, it's probably going to go by very quickly. I mean, they're not going to have enough time to wipe their you-know-what. So I don't think distractions are going to be much of an issue. There's probably not going to be any time to have any distractions. So the biggest issue is just keeping the players healthy, which, again, I think is going to be a monumental task, even if in this bubble that they're calling it for basketball. The other sports, you're now starting to see more cases come out, guys tested positive, and baseball, football. You have a lot of guys that aren't even going to commit to playing this year still across the landscape.
Out.
So we're uncharted, and we've talked about it. And yes, there are dates in place for starts, but that's all they are, and they're not in stone. I'm still, in my opinion. And even if they are, in terms of, yes, you have to pick a date, you have to get it on a schedule, you have to start preparing. The roadblocks are going to be many, the hurdles are going to be many, the failures are going to be many, and it's going to be interesting to see how this all plays out for some of these teams, for all these teams, and to see how they can adjust and how they perform. Definitely the playing field is even now, but if you lose half your team at some point during the season, I don't know how you're going to recover from that. I mean, you lose 3 offensive linemen for 2 weeks. What do you do? I mean, and then in that next week of a game, 2 guys get hurt. You have attrition in sports anyway. Guys just get hurt. It's a physical sport.
You're going to need like 90 guys on the roster.
I've got my phone number out there. So I'm stretching every day now. I'm doing everything I can. I'm touching my toes again, at least one of them. Call me. I'm ready. Baseball, football, any sport. I can hit a jumper. I can throw a football, maybe 10, 20 yards.
10, 20 yards.
There's a few things I can do. So I'm out there. If you're listening, please, week 17 of the NFL, when nobody's left, I'm ready. But give me some pads.
I can play defensive tackle. That's just getting in the way, right?
I
can do that.
I've been kicking this little stuffed animal around the house. My daughter holds it with her finger, and I try and kick it to the. Listen, it's going to be interesting to see how this all plays out. It's going to be a game of attrition.
Charlie Browns you, doesn't she?
A little bit, yeah. I'll show you the bruise later.
Yeah,
but yeah, so it's craziness, but we're all going to go through it. The dates are in place, and we got 2 weeks till baseball.
We're seeing systems in place that are good examples, though. Okay, with Premier the Premier League.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, you're not seeing stars or superstars dropping like flies there. With Korean baseball, the KBL,
They've been playing.
They've been very consistent. They've had a few players test positive, and they sat out for 14 days and came back. So, but more to the point that they are both in more stable situations than the United States. Okay, because what's a common thread between the European soccer and the European basketball and the Asian, the Korean soccer or the Korean basketball or baseball or whatever? What's the common thread? They're not in America. They're in countries that took testing and tracing deadly serious.
Yeah.
Took it deadly serious from the jump. Took it deadly serious, and all we were doing was bitching and moaning. Oh, we don't want to be in Shiver anymore. Well, you want to die? You want grandma to die? We would all love to get to herd immunity, kind of like how we've done with the influenza viruses.
Yeah.
But that whole novel thing, novel coronavirus, novel means it's new. It's something that, and the big part of this slow process is that we've had to learn. We've had to learn how to treat it. We've had to learn how to fight it. We've had to learn how to prevent it. Even though preventing it was supposed to be very basic. There's already rules and protocols in place. But we didn't want to listen because we wanted to go to Supercuts. We wanted to get a haircut. We wanted to go to a sports bar. We want to. Hey, everybody want to go to a strip club, huh?
Remember, though, some of it was necessity. I mean, in
Right.
terms of having to go back to work and
Right.
people losing their homes, and there's a
Right.
lot of things in there, too.
It's
Listen,
a
this
horrible
was
situation.
thrust upon us in the worst way that we weren't prepared to handle.
Right.
And as we move forward, too, the decisions, the choices
We
ever-changing.
We didn't adjust right.
Well, again, you're adjusting. It's like trying to hit a curveball. I
Right.
mean, sometimes you're going to make good contact, and
We
sometimes
are the Serrano of coronavirus.
sometimes you're going to swing and miss and look like an idiot.
Bats are afraid.
So, yeah, I mean,
Wake up, bats, Jobu.
that's where it is right now. Just another example of a team in a team sport that's withdrawn completely from all sports. The Orlando Pride withdrew from the NWSL Challenge Cup. Okay, a couple of players got tested. Women's soccer. Now, again, you're not comparing women's soccer to pro football, but they're athletes, they're players.
We'll go back to MLS, too.
You only
Dallas
have
had
to get
pull
one
out.
person sick to get 9 others sick.
Right.
They're an entire team that got hit with the COVID, and they realize that they're not going to be able to play.
Well, Dallas got hit in MLS. Dallas got hit. They had to pull out.
Yeah.
And they had
Very
a pretty
similar.
good team.
Very similar. So
And they had like 14 people. They had 9 players and 5 staffers.
So this happens if this happens in the NBA during this crunch, during this time frame, and you only got 14 guys on the team, and you lose 7 of them.
It's not going to happen to Joel Embiid. Did you see him come in with a hazmat suit?
Yeah, it
That
was funny.
hilarious.
But what are you supposed to do? I mean, what are you supposed to do when you lose half your team for a week?
Well,
So
we're going to find out.
yeah, it's going to be quite an uphill battle.
If I was part of the administration of any professional sports team, especially ones that are coming out now, I would so be on the phone with my counterpart in South Korea. I would so be talking to people in the Premier League and European and Serie A in Italy. In Italy, they're playing soccer in Italy.
Yeah.
Remember how bad we felt for Italy in March and April?
Yeah.
Okay, because it was an absolute death dumpster fire. People dropping dead in the streets from this crap. Okay, how bad we felt. And what did they immediately go to? They immediately went to testing, tracing, get everybody off the streets, testing, tracing, find everybody who's sick, and get them off the streets too. No, you can't even go to the store. We'll deliver crap to you. Okay, testing, tracing. And once again, we America'd it up. We have to do things our way. We have to have our crap.
Well, the demographics are certainly different.
Yeah.
It's a little harder here in the States when
Sure.
everybody is so I mean, listen, we're 80 million people in this country,
Right.
and we're on a land base of God knows how many million square miles. Again, there are hot spots. We've had them in New York, New Jersey, in
Right.
the north, now the west, California, certainly here in the south. So, again, this thing, it's a killer on many levels, and we have to do the best we can to be able to adjust on the fly. It's ever changing. The landscape of this corona itself is ever changing.
Everybody's in timeout for 2 weeks.
First, it was no masks. Now it's all about masks. It's
How about pants? I'm not wearing pants right now.
not cutoffs. That's all. Just not cutoffs. So,
Okay, well, before we dive too deep, is there anything else you'd like to get to? I mean, we're like pushed right up on an hour. I felt like I've been here for 5 minutes.
yeah, we usually go pretty quickly. Again, I just want to thank you. I guess now is the time for the opportunity to be able to enjoy this last year and a half in here with you. Hopefully, great changes ahead for you and for me and for both of us together. Your shows, our show, and then just be thankful that we're here, that I'm here, made it through the COVID. You had a little bit of a scare recently. Hopefully, you're going to be okay with that. And again, we just have to be fortunate and blessed for who we are, where we are, and what we have ahead of us, and hopefully we can make the best of it moving forward. So I'm looking forward to the next year and a half plus in our new venue, in your new place, wherever that may be. Hopefully it's in the place that you've already got set up. And we can build this thing and enjoy it and hopefully bring some fun and some smart sports stuff to everybody out there.
Ironically enough, while we're podcasting, I recognize the caller ID. I just got a phone call from the agent that is helping me or is working on this situation, my approval from the Homeowners Association. So we're going to see how that goes here in a few minutes. It could be a very, very happy afternoon. It also could be an afternoon where I'm flipping tables over and cursing people's names. But listen, I have had a great time doing this with you. You are a fountain of information. You are a coherent and cogent and intelligent analyst. I'm still better at fantasy football than you are.
Not last year.
And, I got the belt to prove it. I'll go get my belt. I really will.
I got a trophy home.
You got a trophy at home.
Yeah, I got a beer
It's
can.
Participation trophy.
Champions. This is what champions are made of right
Yeah,
here.
right there.
Yeah.
There you go. Okay. But believe me, I couldn't have picked a better partner to do a sports show with. So thank you for coming along for the ride.
Appreciate that.
And thank you for coming along as well and watching. And we will be back in early August as soon as I get everything set up and ready to go in the new spot, which should be soon enough. I'll get there. I promise. As soon as we get there. God, I got a lot of junk. I'm throwing junk out, and I still got a lot of junk. It's crazy. So on behalf of myself and the Maz, whom you can see at MLB Joy Us on Instagram, and me, of course, search Gonzo Radio on pick platform, any platform, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, and check out Gonzo Radio and the Gonzo Radio Sports Desk, and we will see you guys in a few weeks. So everybody have fun, have a great summer, and stay inside and wear a mask and wash your hands and be safe. Love you, bye.